Okay, I think I'm ready.
Here, state your full name to the judge. Taylor Daniel Hudnell.
All right, Mr. Hudnell. Give me one moment here.
No.
All right, the state is alleging 3 total charges against you. 2 of them are felony allegations. 1 of them is a misdemeanor allegation. First, the 2 felony allegations. One charge is misconduct involving weapons, being a prohibited possessor, and the other is drug paraphernalia possession or use. And then the misdemeanor violation is driving on a suspended, revoked, or canceled driver's license. On all of those charges, you have the right to remain silent, right to counsel, and right to trial. On the felonies, I've scheduled you for a preliminary hearing on the 28th of January at 4 o'clock p.m. The preliminary hearing is to determine if there's probable cause to charge you with those violations. If probable cause is found, then the felony portion of the case will bind over to the Gila County Superior Court, and they'll take disposition. On the misdemeanor violation, I've scheduled you for an arraignment on February 4th at 9 o'clock. The arraignment is where you need to appear and be prepared to plead either guilty, not guilty, or no contest.
Okay.
You'll get a copy of each of these, and it'll have the dates and information on, so you don't have to try to remember it.
Okay.
Depending on how you plead on that misdemeanor violation is what happens next with the court proceeding. All of those options, as well as the penalty range, will be given prior to you giving your plea, so you'll be well informed. Your release conditions are obey all orders of the court, do not commit any crimes, notify the court immediately if your address changes, do not leave the state of Arizona without permission of the court. Regarding the felonies is not to possess or consume any drugs without a valid prescription, and not to possess any firearms. Since a felony allegation, if you're convicted, you could become a prohibited possessor. One additional release requirement condition is that you contact the probation department upon your release from custody. You're not on probation as far as these charges are concerned, but you are on release services. They're going to monitor you between now and the next court date, so on and so forth, until the case is complete, to make sure you're abiding by the release conditions and that you're showing up for court.
Okay.
So I'll provide you a name and phone number to contact upon your release. Do you understand those release conditions?
I do.
Can you obey those release conditions?
100%.
And you'll show up to court as ordered?
Yes, sir.
All right. There is a possibility on the felony allegations that the case may go in front of a grand jury, or the case may not file right away. If that,
Is that what the what I have to show up to court for? Is that they'll let me know basically if that's one or the other?
well, so on the felony, that's January 28th. Best thing to do is to call a business day ahead to see if you need to be there for that.
Oh, okay, okay,
And you'll find out whether it's still proceeding to court or whether they haven't filed it. They have up to 7 years to file from the date of your arrest.
okay.
Okay, so that's on the felony side. On the misdemeanor, you do have to appear. That's scheduled. You'll be scheduled into court
Okay,
on
okay.
February 4th. So
I
they're two
understand.
different things. They go to two different places.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
you understand that?
yeah. I understand that.
And you'll show up to court.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll release you on your own recognizance. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, that's all I've got for you.
Thank you.
Grab the next defendant now, sir.
Thank you. Hey there, I don't need a record. I just need that door closed because there's a party in the lobby that is super, super loud. What's happening out there? Okay.
Anita's helping somebody. I don't know.
Okay.
Everything okay, sir?
Yeah, it's just really loud. The clerk noise is coming in from the hallway there.
Ah, copy that.
Just gonna close this one and
Yeah, that's fine.
get some noise.
Step to the counter right at the end. All the way. Seat pulled in for the judge. Ready.
Michael Lee Lester.
All right, Mr. Lester. All right, the state is alleging 4 charges against you. 2 of them are felonies and 2 of them are misdemeanor violations. First, the felonies. The first charge is an unlawful flight from pursuing law enforcement.
Okay.
The second charge is aggravated driving under the influence of alcohol. The 2 misdemeanors are open container of liquor in the vehicle and resisting arrest passively. On those charges, you have the right to remain silent, right to counsel, and right to trial. I've scheduled you for 2 different dates. One's for the felonies and one's for the misdemeanors.
Okay.
The felonies is scheduled for January 20th at 4:00 p.m. That's for a preliminary hearing.
Okay.
That's to determine if there's probable cause to charge you with those 2 felonies, not convict you.
Yes, sir.
If probable cause is found, your case will bind over to the Gila County Superior Court. If probable cause is not found, then one or both of those charges will dismiss. There is a possibility of that the case will go in front of a grand jury. If that is the case, you'll be notified and also send a letter to your Palomino address that you do not need to appear in court because it goes in front of a grand jury.
Okay.
If it doesn't go in front of a grand jury, there's also that they don't file the charges, and they have up to the statute of limitation, which is at or near 7 years from the date of your arrest on the felony charges to file. Okay?
Okay.
And then on the misdemeanor charges, I've scheduled you for an arraignment on also the 20th of January, so you will have to appear on that one. This is
Okay.
for an arraignment. That's where you need to be prepared to plead either guilty, not guilty, or no contest to the
Yes, sir.
to the two misdemeanor violations. Depending on how you plead will be what happens next with the court proceedings, and all of those options, as well as the penalty range, will be explained to you prior to you giving your plea. Your release conditions are obey all orders of the court, do not commit any crimes, notify the court immediately of any change of address, do not
Okay.
leave the state of Arizona without permission of the court. Regarding the felony allegations, not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription, and not to possess any firearms. Since this is a felony allegation, if you're convicted, you could become a prohibited possessor.
So they're keeping my firearm?
I don't
They
know if,
already took it and shot me up with the paintballs.
yeah, I don't know if they're keeping it or not. That's what you need to ask them. I don't
Okay.
know. But
That's
what
not convicted?
right, but this,
Okay, so yeah.
yes, but this is release conditions. So these are the restrictions for release conditions. And the reason why the firearm one is there is because there's allegations of felonies. You're not convicted yet, but just the allegations, the court's going to impose a not to possess firearms. So even if that can release to you, you might not want to obtain that because you're not to possess due to these release conditions.
Well, can I give it to my mom now? If
You
it gets
can.
released to me?
You can,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
You might have your mom go with you, so because you don't want to possess it right when you go pick it up. I don't want you to put yourself in a predicament.
Okay.
Okay, all right. And then on the misdemeanor violation, there's just one additional not to possess or consume any alcohol or drugs. It's the same one as on the felonies. Now, the third issue that we have is you have a warrant for failure to pay fines from a DUI that occurred back in 2021. There's other cases that are also not current with whether either it's counseling or payment requirements or any of that. But I didn't pull that information because we have the warrant on the one, the other ones were in warrant status, but we haven't received a payment.
Can I make it? I can make a payment today.
All right, so if you can make a $541 payment on that case, that will release you off of that case.
Okay.
That's what the bond is left. Now, let me talk to you about the bonds on the other ones. First off, I'll talk about the felonies. The felonies have a $5,000 bond, being that you're held in custody on a felony charge. You have the right to a court-appointed attorney at little or no cost if you cannot afford to hire one. So I'll send with the paperwork a financial questionnaire that if you wish to exercise your right for a court-appointed attorney, please fill out that questionnaire and me or another judge will review it and either prove it or deny it based on your finances.
Okay.
What also happens is when you're in custody on a felony, the prosecutor must file a complaint on you within 48 hours from this hearing. If they don't file that complaint within 48 hours, you'll be released without bond on your own recognizance and don't have to post the bond on the felony charges. Okay? Do you understand that?
So I'm not being released.
So you have the potential to be released. If you want to walk out today, there's a bond of $5,000 on the felonies.
Yes, sir.
If you wait 48 hours and the prosecutor does not file a complaint, then that $5,000 goes away. You don't have to worry about posting that. Okay?
Yeah, I gotta pay the entire 5,000.
It's bail bonds eligible. I left it eligible
Okay.
for bail bonds.
Okay.
But after 48 hours, if the complaint does not file, there's no bond at all on that felony.
Okay.
Okay. The misdemeanor one's still in place. That's $1,000 bond. That's bail bonds eligible also, so you can use bail bonds on that one as well if you wish. Is that clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. And then we have the warrant. That's the 541. That one is not bail bonds eligible. That's cash for fines. If you don't if you stay in custody until the date of the 120, unless there's mandatory fines, I'll give you some credit for sitting in there, even though you're sitting in here for other reasons. I'll give you some credit on that warrant that's in place if I can, unless it's mandatory minimum fines. If it's only the minimums, I have to have it collected. You understand what I'm saying there?
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, so in a DUI charge, which is that one that has the warrant, there's mandatory minimum fines that are required. I can't waive those with time served. So if there's,
So you
if
need
there,
500 cash?
6,541, no, what was your question?
That $500, you need $500 cash?
Yes,
for that?
541 cash, correct.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't post that and you sit in jail for 10 days and I see you on the 20th,
Uh-huh.
if I'm able to, I'll give you some credit for your time that you've served and reduce that down, but I can't reduce the mandatory minimums.
Okay.
So let's say there's $300 of mandatory minimum. I'll take the 541, give you credit for each day down to the mandatory minimum.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on any of that?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all I've got for you then.
Sir, head on that way, follow the Thank you. Wait, so you said I could post, right?
I'll get it sent here shortly.
Yes, sir.
Okay.